Well, the disaster artist is at it again, no other than Kathleen Kennedy herself, once again caught lying to the entire fan base of both the Indiana Jones franchise and the Star Wars franchise, but in this scenario it has much to do with the upcoming release of The Dial of Destiny by no other than Phoebe Waller-Bridge herself, exposing Kathleen Kennedy either by accident or inadvertently. We'll have to wait and see exactly what this actually entails, but we know that everything related to Indy 5 so far is not going down so well, ranging from the bad critic reviews coming out of the Cannes Film Festival, and also ranging to what Harrison Ford has been talking about, where he seems a little clueless in some of the interviews about what this movie really is even about. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And without further ado, let's get right into the main subject here. Now, as you all know, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, she has been a very controversial actress in the Hollywood sphere, in the film industry, and given that she was one of the stars in Solo: A Star Wars Story, via the L3 droid, that a lot of fans did not really come to like. I myself was very skeptical about that role, but moving to the main subject here, what's interesting is what Kathleen Kennedy got caught lying involving Indiana Jones 5 to the entire fan base about Harrison Ford and his portrayal of Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones, and also what Phoebe Waller-Bridge actually said that really got Kathleen Kennedy caught in this overall lying scenario. So, anyways, with Kathleen Kennedy promoting Indy 5 and The Dial of Destiny, as well as Phoebe Waller-Bridge, recently Kennedy was caught lying in a recent interview to the entire Indy fanbase and community. Now, Kennedy first stated the following and delivered this to fans. I think these so-called fans that are loud and opinionated need to quiet it down a bit. Not once in this film are we disrespecting Indiana as a character, nor are we watering him down from Phoebe's character. It was never in the cards between I and James, she's talking about James Mangold, by the way, to mistreat this character from the new ones that we inserted into this story. So don't believe everything that you hear on social media. Now, meanwhile, after Kennedy promoted Indy 5 and stated this, Phoebe Waller-Bridge was eventually questioned shortly after about her favorite moment in Indy 5. Now, are you guys ready for this? Because this is where it gets really bad. Now, when working with Harrison Ford, she was questioned about her time working with him on Indy 5 and the various sets. Now, Phoebe went on to state to the community, well, I think the most enthralling part about this film, the most exciting part was I got to deck Harrison Ford, and there was a take where I accidentally hit him head on, haha, but we were both laughing about it. But we have this scene, like, where Helena, that's her character's name by the way, Helena punches Indy down onto the floor. She just knocks him out senseless and teaches him a lesson about something that I really can't disclose because that goes into spoilers, but I think it was a very fun scene. Let me just stop here for a second, alright, before I get to the next thing that Phoebe talks about. This is really giving me flashbacks to The Last Jedi, where we had Rey on the island with Luke, and she begins to best him in that staff duel, whatever you want to call it, and there's a moment in there where obviously Phoebe Waller-Bridge is putting it out there without hesitation that there is a scene in this movie reportedly that Helena beats down Indiana Jones senseless. She just decks him right in the face, he falls on the ground, and teaches him a lesson for something. We're not quite sure exactly why she punches him, but there's a specific reasoning behind that she doesn't want to disclose because it dives into spoilers. Okay, I get that. But this is not surprising at all, in the least, coming out of a Kathleen Kennedy-driven movie, coming out of especially Phoebe Waller-Bridge being a part of this film. A lot of people like to call her Fleabag, by the way. But this really just does not shock me in the least. I expected something like this to happen, and coming out of what we saw in The Last Jedi and a lot of other aspects of Star Wars in general. I mean, we have seen this happen to a lot of male leads where this ultimately happens. And so, it really just makes you wonder, why does Kathleen Kennedy have such a drive to do stuff like this? It really, it really makes you question yourself. What's the drive here? What's the benefit? What do you really get out of doing something like this? So Phoebe Waller-Bridge goes on to elaborate further, and this is, I think, going to make the situation even worse, is that she goes on to say, Harrison didn't really agree with it in the beginning. Well, obviously he didn't agree with this. This is horrible. But she states, but he learned to accept that this was a scene that Kathy and James wanted to do with Indy and Helena. She's a really tough girl and knows when to knock some sense into Dr. Jones. She's a real boss in this one. I think everyone is going to love and adore her sassiness with Indy. She has quite a number of scenes just like this one with him, and it's just great. It was fun working with Harrison. The only thing I can say that's so great and amazing about Indiana Jones 5 right now, everybody, is that this is the last Indiana Jones movie. We're not getting an Indy 6, Indy 7, Indy 8, whatever it may be. We're not getting any of that. This is the last and final movie, and that's the only thing that's great that's coming out of Indy 5 at this point. Sad but true, but that is the best part of this film. So though we do know that Dial of Destiny, it's going to dive into elements of time travel, it's going to really deal with a lot of elements of the potential to change the course of history, stuff like that. But what Phoebe Waller-Bridge is saying here is that she literally just debunked what Kathleen Kennedy just stated, that there's not one moment in this movie where Indiana Jones, aka, Dr. Jones, is mistreated by the newer characters. And this, of course, was just literally stripped down by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, either accidentally revealing this or purposely putting it out there, who knows. But not a surprise in the least, and to be honest, guys, after a while, this kind of attitude just really gets me really just a little irate. It does. I don't really mean to be so pessimistic sometimes or negative, but I just can't help myself to really just kind of talk about this, because this is a moment where this is yet again, I believe, going to be the Last Jedi 2.0 situation where Indy 5 comes out. A lot of the casual audiences think that this is going to be a great movie and it's going to really turn on themselves. It really is. So again, we already have a lot of major media outlets that are already calling this movie out. They're already labeling it as the return of an iconic hero minus the thrill. We have a lot of major media outlets out there like Variety even saying it's a watered down story and that it's really not capturing the true spirit of Indiana Jones. I think that, obviously, much like the original Star Wars trilogy, where you had, of course, New Hope, Empire, and Jedi, those were the true movies at the core. Of course, the prequels are great and all, but when you look at Indiana Jones, it's similar in a way, where they are the true movies. They're the true trilogy, so to speak. So, I would love to hear what you guys have to say about Phoebe Waller-Bridge's take and really kind of just putting this out there. Do you think I'm overreacting about this? I'm not quite sure I am at all. I think that what she said here is another prime example of really just watering down the character of Indiana Jones, another major character just like Luke Skywalker. So, anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and I will catch you guys next time.